Appreciate you hitting the button. Welcome to the How to Hustle podcast with Hype. This is episode 93. Happy New Year. First one of the year, 2023. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at I am Hype. It's HYMPE. It's Hype. It's not hype. I'm not geeked up. Special guest in the building making a second appearance. Introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm Luke Mobley from More Than a Dad podcast.
And I'm Dre Moore from More Than a Dad.
These niggas professional. They give out the whole governments and all of that. Copy that. All right. New year, but it's the same shit. Let's hit the rundown. E-Block Radio Network every Monday, 2 o'clock on the E-Block Radio Network. GFT Radio Network, 2 o'clock every Tuesday. Wednesdays, 216 The Bend. That's 12 midnight, 8 a.m., 8 p.m. Thursdays, WTNUphilly.com, 12:30. Friday, I Say Podcast Radio Network, 10 a.m. THC Media on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Sunday, still wide open. West Coast, what's happening? Now, Custom Hustle World. Custom Hustle World on Instagram, where you can get your Custom Hustle sweatsuits. If you're watching the video on the E-Block Radio Network, you'll be able to see Hype is in a gray and black joint right now. Custom t-shirts, jackets, sweatsuits, jerseys, basketball, baseball, hockey, however you name them, we can make them happen. Babies, kids, infants, toddlers, we're looking to make all of it happen for you. And they're only one of one unless you buy four. That's at Custom Hustle World on Instagram, Custom Hustle Co. on Twitter. H2H Cleaning is my cleaning company. You follow that at H2H Cleaning. That is Instagram only. Roofing, plumbing, HVAC, cleanups, cleanouts, flooring, carpeting. However you need that situation, we can make that happen. And if you make it worth my while, we will definitely slide. Now, you know what I'm saying? New Year, same announcements. You brothers ready?
Yes, sir.
My bad. How I F this one up. We got breaking news on the podcast. If you tuned into this joint, breaking news. How to Hustle live show, March the 12th. 7 p.m. the show starts. The doors is at 6. If you're not there at 7, the show will start without your ass. Hit the link in my bio to get them tickets. Hit the QR code that will be on the flyer to get your tickets. Or you can get with me and I will slide up on you personally with the tickets. Tickets will be $15 as always, unless you get them on Eventbrite. You pay a little, fee, but that has nothing to do with that. That's not my end of the door. Mark. But yes, How to Hustle live show. 4901 Catherine Street at the barn. You already know what it is. 7 o'clock sharp. Doors is at 6. I will see you there because you will be buying a ticket. Now, episode 93. Got the brothers from More Than the Dad in here. So as you know, like I tell everybody, my conversations are currency. Me and Dre talk. I'm going to bump into Dre one day, and we get to talking about the kids and how you handle the death situations, because RIP EJ is how we even got this connection to happen. Dre had a picture of E on his page, and I said, damn, I think I took this picture. This is the picture that's in my damn phone, actually. So, we talk about death and the kids. So, a little morbid, but hey, we're going to make it happen. How do you talk to your kids about death? We're going to start this one off with Lou, since me and Dre already kind of talked about this. Let's go, Lou. Let's go, Lou Mobley.
Yeah. I haven't had this experience, right? So, but I've been thinking about it. My mom is older and sickly. My father is deceased. My wife's father is deceased. So both our moms are like 65 plus. My mom got health issues. She's a cancer survivor. She goes to dialysis. And I think about that having small kids.
Shouts out to mom. Let's never gloss over cancer survivor. Shouts out to mom.
Yeah. Shout out to Uni Bear.
Tell mom we need 5 stars now.
Yeah, we'll send a link over to her. She'll play it for sure.
Appreciate you in the butt. So
she's a cancer survivor. She's sickly. She always have had health issues. So I got small kids. My kids is 4 and 1, right? So I don't even know how to not gonna be here no more. I don't really even know how to navigate that, right? But I hope, because when I was young, when I got introduced to death, I lost my grandma, and it was just all right, we just don't see grandma no more. And it was kind of I was probably about at least 6, so I was just you just don't have grandma no more. And I was thinking if I was to die, what would death be like? I'd be man, like a black screen, you know what I mean? Like outer space, just black space, and it was a scary thought for me, and I guess this is where faith come in at to me. Do you teach your kid about God and life after, life after death and stuff like that? Do you go into angels and devils and do you go into a religious spiritual bag? I grew up in a house where my pops was Muslim and my mom was Christian, right? I went to church as a youngin', but I watched dad pray 5 times a day. So my spirituality and religion stuff a little off than normal people, right? So like my son 4, so he came back one day talking about death, like from daycare. Like, yeah, he played with the toys and he died. I'm like, who taught you that? Who taught you that? Like, he died, or like he do things like, yeah, he went to jail. Like, who's teaching you jail and death? And
Right.
he got 20 to 40.
right. Like, let me finish this up. My wife was like, the next week he came home, he was drawing pictures, and my wife was like, what's this? And he was like, this is the angel and this is the devil. She immediately turned to me, she's like, you're taking this boy to church. So like that weekend we took you to church. And I know I'm getting a little off topic, but it's just I think, you know, if you have a religion base in your household, that's how you probably start introducing the death talk, because you might get follow-up questions. You know, you might want to leave it off of the family member initially, but just introduce the topic, you know what I mean? Of like, hey, you know, death, and, you know, we believe in God, or, you know, whatever it is, you know, just jumping right into the, you know, grandma, auntie, uncle died. Like, I don't know how far that's going to go. You have to ask a parent that did it already, you know, but in my experience, like, I haven't got there yet. And I'm nervous to kind of like want to see what y'all going to say, like, how y'all navigating that.
Right.
Go ahead, Dre.
Well, so yeah, so you know, me and Hank was having this conversation, and I was talking about my dad. When my dad passed, like, I never told my youngest son that my dad died. So like, yeah, I never told Ash.
How old is he?
He's 5 now. He was 3 at the time. He hadn't turned 4 yet. I already knew in my mind, like, he wasn't going to the funeral. Like, in my mind, it was just like, he's like, I guess I didn't want his last images of my dad to be like that. And then on top of that, I just didn't think he would sit through it. Like, I don't know any kids, you know, that's like 3 that's just gonna sit in here. Like, Ash got ADHD because he ain't sitting in this joint. So I know he ain't gonna sit here. So I'm like, it was like it was a combination of like him and his ADHD and just the thought to like, what are you even gonna think in this situation? Like my pop just in there asleep or whatever. So like, I didn't even really know how he would take it. So I just was like, well, he ain't going. So like, I had a conversation with his mom, like, you know, he not gonna go. My oldest son, he went. He was older. He's 13 now, so he probably was like 11, 12, somewhere. He might have just turned 12. So it was just like, oh, he gonna go. So he went, and I mean, like, I had the conversation with him before, you know, like, we went, but I never had the conversation with Ash until like recently. My dad has been dead for a little over a year, so like maybe like in the last couple of months we had a conversation. And it's just because he kept asking about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say question, bro. Like, when you go to your mom's house, he don't ever be like, yo, where Pop?
He was in the beginning. He was, and it was like kind of bothering me. It was starting to bother me, bro, because he was like, we'd go in there and like, he'd be like, oh, I'm going upstairs to Pop room, because like him, my mom, my pop was in like separate rooms. So he's like, oh, I'm going to Pop room. Like, I mean, you could go up there, but he ain't up there. But he think he going up there to see him. So like, he never really questioned, he never really asked. But he also has like a picture of like my mom and my dad on his wall in the house. So like, he has a picture of them two on the wall. So like, I forgot what we was talking about, but he was like, yeah, that's Pop. We was having a back and forth about something, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna tell Pop on you. And like, in my mind, that was just like, all right, it's a prompt for me to like sit down and explain it to him. So I just was like, you know, Pop is in heaven. He not, you know, like here. He like, oh, he not here. And I'm like, no. He like, oh, he went to heaven, so he died. And I'm like, yeah. He like, oh, okay. He just is mad regular about it. But yeah, Ash funny like that. My oldest son, he's like still cries about my dad to this day. He was older.
Yeah, the
relationship.
Their relationship is different because he's older. He got more time in with him.
All right, relationship is different. So like, and he was like tiptoeing around the dad conversation with me. Like, he was talking to his mom about it. He wouldn't talk to me about it. He was like having a conversation with his mom, like, I'm upset about my grandpa, whatever. But he wouldn't have a conversation with me because he was saying like he didn't want to make me sad. But I'm like, you know, you can have a conversation with me because if can't nobody else relate to you, then I can relate to you. So that was like on both sides. Like I had a kid that I didn't tell at all, and I had a kid that was there through the whole process.
All right. So I got a lot now after listening to what y'all said. Definitely, I don't want it to sound like this, but it's going to be what it is. You get those practice funerals out of the way for them kids. The kids have no concept. The kids have no concept of death. They don't know what none of that is. All of the scary shit is the shit in your head. All of the protection of them is you protecting yourself from it. Protecting yourself from having that conversation. Protecting yourself from, like Lou said, having to answer them follow-up questions and all of that. They, like you just said, I told him and he just went like, oh, they don't know really what it is. They can't grasp that concept if they're that young. Now, our whole relationship started off with EJ. And I told you, I would talk to E every night because I would be the only one that's still up when he get off on the night shift. He would talk to me and my oldest daughter. He would talk to me and Kai. So now I can't tell her, you just talk to this man every day for the past however many months, year, or whatever. Now, well, call EJ. Oh, no, we can't call him. How come EJ ain't never come around the house? No, because you can't do that to him because now you're making it a situation where it's like, what's going on? Why are you lying to me? Why are you misleading me? What are you doing? What is it that you ain't telling me about? When you could have just told them, and like you said, they're going to ask you a couple of questions and it's just going to be what it is. Because it ain't that deep for them because they don't understand what them situations is. But that first time that they walk up, like you said, and his grandma is laying here or his grandpop or it's you, and you have no concept of what this is, that's a problem. Because now it's going to scare the hell out of them. Now they have no idea what the hell is going on. They're not prepared for this at all. This is not something that we talked about. I can't even ask my dad or my mom about this because now one of them is here. Like, that be the problem in them situations. My daughter was 3 when E got killed. And I told her that day, EJ died. She said, what happened? I said, he died. She said, somebody hurt him? I said, he died. She said, okay, and gave me a hug. She was 3. She'll still ask questions about him or talk about him and stuff to this day, but it ain't the situation where it's like it's going to kill their whole world. My man died, Love died, like 2-3 months after my oldest daughter was born. She was at his janaza in a car seat because obviously she doesn't understand. She's not here at all. You know what I'm saying? She's not here at all, but this is one of those things where it's like, this is me and him's relationship. When your aunt dies, that's your aunt that you had all of this relationship and connection with. This is why I said them practice joints. This child has no connection to this aunt, this uncle, this friend. This is just acclimating them to everybody's going to disappear at some point. And I don't want that disappearance to be me or your mom or your uncle or your cousin or one of your friends. And now it's like, what the fuck is death? Because like you said, you know what I'm saying? You don't want that shock to the system because, like Lou just said, though, now you go to school and you finding out all about all of this shit and knowing that my mom and my dad never told me about none of this. Now my world is rocked because I feel like, damn, well, what tip is y'all on? Because y'all didn't prepare me for this. I'm finding out all about all this shit in the classroom.
But you damn if you do, if you did.
Right, but how early do you think like that conversation starts?
When somebody dies. Somebody dies at 1, we're gonna talk about this at 1. Somebody dies at 2, we're gonna talk about this at 2. Whenever it happens is when it's gonna happen. Because guess what? It's never gonna stop happening. What we all signed up for when we was born was we was gonna die. So you know what I'm saying? Them's like the unwritten rules. When you signed up to be dad, you signed up to be the head of household, you signed up to be the man, you signed up to have tough conversations. You know what I'm saying? This is what we signed up for. This is the lot we've been given. So you gotta attack that.
I agree with that 100%. You know how like at work, like if you bring up like money, it's like taboo. Like it's like we at work to make money, but it's important. It's you in somebody's business if you talk about salaries out loud. Like it's a taboo topic, right?
I never got that neither. Niggas like, what you mean? How much I make?
So comparing that to like it's comparing that to like living life. It's taboo to talk about death, but we know that life comes to an end, right? But like I think as parents, you know, and you know, we do more than a dad. I feel like the more and more we get into this, it's like, well, I gave him too much and mental health happened to him, or like, you know, it was too much pressure, or he gave anxiety because I gave him too much, or I hid something from him, or dad a liar. Dad lied to me about, you know, such and such dying, and now I got resentment for dad. So I feel like we get into these pockets of like, we damn if we do, we damn if we don't. That's why people say it's no manual to it. So I can't say, yo, you wrong for exposing your kids to death too early. Right?
Well, no, see, this is the thing here. Is all right, glad you said that, because in all of these episodes, I never want somebody to listen to this and feel like what I'm saying is the way that you're doing it is wrong. Right. Or the way that I'm doing it is just right because this is the way that I'm doing it. Like you said, we all everybody got to do whatever works for them in their household and whatever their situation is. But just because I had the conversation with my daughter at 3, like I said, all I'm telling her is he died. I'm not giving you the explicit details of what happened or none of that. I don't need to break all of that down to you because you're 3, because we don't want to traumatize you, because you don't want you to just be scared now to walk down the street, go around the corner, or none of that type of shit. But it's like, you got to broach the topic with them, because I don't want you to find out from your friends who don't really know that much more than you do. And now you're getting half information. Now you're repeating some ignorant shit. And it's like, who told you that? But it falls on you if you never prepared them for whatever that situation is. If they go out that door and they're ill prepared for what the world is going to give them, that's your fault. When they that little. Now, once they, you know, get a little older, then hey, look, they're making their own moves, and whatever the hell you told them, they're going to do the opposite anyway.
Hey, yo, they going to do the opposite anyway. It's crazy.
How many times your mom told you don't take your ass out of this house, and you said, all right, as soon as she go to work, I'm out. Like, broke my foot in 12th grade. I was suspended. She told me don't leave. I said, all right, copy. My man called me. Yo, come on, we out. Broke my dropped the propane tank on my foot. Broke my joint. Had to wear open toe slides to prom.
Yeah, no, you ain't lying about that. I think the real thing is we just repeat what we were taught. So like, depending on how like you was raised and how like you was taught, we kind of just tend to repeat them habits. So like when I look back at a situation like that, like when my grandmom died, I probably was like 5, 6. I was around like I was probably around like 5, 6, and they ain't let us go to the funeral. So in my mind, that was normal. I knew she was dead. We knew they was having a funeral, but we couldn't go. Ash was a little bit younger than us at the time, like when my dad died. But in my mind, I probably was just still thinking about how it was when I was raised. That like, you ain't going. And I knew he wasn't going to sit through it anyway. It was more so like, how do I guess in my mind, it was just like, I don't know how I really figured like I'm going to just sit down and just have this conversation with you. Like, because I don't really know how like he be taking certain, like Ash is a character.
But see, this is why I go back to what I said about them conversations be about you protecting yourself from having that conversation and not about protecting them from what it is that's about to be happen.
I wouldn't say that though, bro, because like it don't really. Bro, I done had the most wild conversations with my kids, dog. Like,
but like you said though, when you told him no, and he just said like, oh, so he went to heaven, and that was just the end of the conversation. But how long did it take you to have that conversation with him? Because you ain't want to broach that topic. That's why I said it's more so you was protecting yourself from that situation, because once you brought it to him, he was like, oh.
Yeah, but Ash is unpredictable. See, like, so like you may never know what will be. Like Ash is the kid that like if his G.I. Joe break, he gonna cry for 10 hours. If he had he had all these little pictures one day that he was drawing in the house. His mom had cleaned them drawings up, threw them drawings out. Cuz had a tantrum for like 3 hours over some little paper drawings he could recreate. It's not even about protecting me. It's about, I really don't know how you gonna react. So now I gotta approach the situation in a different way because I don't know what you deem to be super serious and what you deem to not be serious. So it makes it
also he's 5. Yeah, so you know.
That's what I'm saying. He's 5. So like I don't know. Like I might tell you, yo, your pop not here no more, and now I don't know. Maybe you want to go to heaven with him or something. I don't know what you start to think.
But that's why I said though in the beginning, you got to get them practice joints out of the way.
Practice joints out.
Your friend, your aunt, your uncle, that person that you had this relationship with, they have no relationship with. You know what I'm saying?
So do you take them to funerals with people that they don't know?
Yeah. I just told you I took my daughter to a funeral, to a janazah. She's 2 months old because she has no relationship with him. This is zero for her. My aunt that died, my aunt's funeral was on my daughter's birthday when she turned 1, 2, something like that. We went to this funeral.
Bro, my question is, if you're not super religious, like Dre not super religious, right? So do you teach heaven and hell? Like, do you teach, like, is these other places that people going other than being eaten by worms in a drink?
All right, so yeah, see, me, yeah, I am.
Yeah, see, I ain't Muslim, so they religious. I'm not, me personally, bro, no. But I'm not going to pass my beliefs off on you. If that was the case, they wouldn't get Christmas and all this other cool stuff that people be attaching to religion. No, like, I don't really like, you
did it. I didn't want to go here, but we're going here now that you brought it up. Okay. Why do we celebrate Christmas if you don't believe in that? What we celebrating?
Ooh,
yeah.
Me, I don't celebrate anything.
You just said, why would we be doing Christmas? What we doing?
His mom and them, they celebrate that.
What they got to do with you? My wife is not Muslim. My wife is a Christian. So when Christmas rolls around, if she wants to do whatever she wants to do for her children, great. I got nothing to do with that. That's not my situation. Okay, copy.
We're not just talking about, well, we just talked about, like, I said nothing. Dog, I went to work. They did that. That was their thing.
Copy. Hey, I was at work too.
Right. No, that was, no, but I'm not, but I know, like, the things, like, I'm not gonna combat the things that his mom wants to instill.
No, yeah, copy. Because
like, if they want,
you just as much hers as you are mine. Yeah.
So, like, and then I gotta let him choose his own thing. So his mom they do have, like, a heaven and hell conversations talk. I don't do. He asked me when I said, he like, oh, so you went to heaven, whatever. I said, yeah, but, like, he asked me that. Like, I don't, bro. You know me, bro. Like, you know me. I think it's over when it's over, bro.
It's a black screen.
Listen. It's some people like E that I want to see again. I hope that it's an afterlife. But if it ain't, you mean it is what it is. I've never met nobody that did.
You know what hope is? Hope is faith, bro. So that means you believe.
All right, so hold up, because I got a couple of different things.
Walk into a whole nother convo now.
Oh no! That's notes, baby. You know what I'm saying? All right. So the thing that we all kind of touched on here was we lost somebody at a young age. I didn't say this. I was thinking that I never put it out. Grandmom dies in like 93, 94, something like that. And I'm like 6. Same masjid that I still go to now is where grandmom's janazah was at. Every time I walk in this masjid, the first thing I think of is, oh yeah, this is where grandmom's janazah was at. I can still walk in here and feel like a 6-year-old going in this joint. It was 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Right. Not that it's a point where it's like, oh my God, no, this is where grandmom died. But it's a thought that's in my head. But because like Lou was saying in the beginning, how much religion do you get into and all of that? Yeah, we got into religion in my house. Yeah, we're praying 5 times a day and all of that. Like, that's my situation. And if my kids learn how to sit up, they both got prayer rugs because that's my situation. Once you get to an age and stage where you want to make your own decisions, hey, look, you want to believe that Tim's is whatever, like you believe Tim's is God, then hey, if that's what you're gonna believe, that's what you're gonna believe. But I'm not gonna send you out into the world unequipped with the things that go on. There's a church right here, been behind my house my whole life. Name a song, I probably know it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because this is the situation that I got. Half my family Muslim, half my family Christian. I'm never demeaning, belittling, or putting down what nobody else's situation is. But if you ask me, what do I think? How am I gonna carry it? Then yeah, that's what I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you that religious aspect, like Lou was saying, that faith type of thing, because that's what I believe in. Now, if that ain't what you believe in, then copy. But you have to find a way to talk to them about it. Because if you just give them these mythical places of heaven, hell, and you've just gone all floating, and then they ask you, well, how or why? Now what's the answer? That's the difficult part of those conversations that people don't be wanting to have. Because kids are going to keep asking you, well, why or how? They're going to keep doing that because that's what kids do. They're curious. They want to know. But if you've just given me nothing, now I go ask The 5-year-old goes ask the 9-year-old. The 9-year-old thinks they know everything in the fucking world, but that's their big cousin. And now they done told them about some shit that somebody told them, and now they grow up and go off into some bullshit. But yes, my mom and my dad told me when grandmom died that grandmom died. She ain't gonna be here no more. Then my mom's oldest sister died. Mimi died. She ain't gonna be here no more. So that you don't be like you said, you running up to, how heartbreaking was that? He ran up to the room and he's not here. You know he ain't here. Why y'all ain't telling him? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're making a fool out of me, Dad.
Is it bad? No, you're violent. That's violent. That's violent.
I said, please, even you, like, please don't let nobody hear this and say, like, I want to attack what it is that you're saying. If that's how you not even just you, because you always know, you never know who's listening. The listeners every day, B. But you never want nobody to hear it and be like, damn, why are you attacking my beliefs or the way I'm carrying it? I'm not. I'm just telling you the way that I would go about the situation. Lou's itching to say something. Go ahead, Lou.
No, I was just thinking, like, you was talking about memory lane and about how you walk into there and you realize that's where your grandma, service was at. I do the same thing when I go to Virginia. Like, I remember, like, the funeral cars lining up on the side of the road to go into the cemetery. So every time I ride to Virginia, I haven't been in a while, but when I would go, I would think of paying it back to a kid. That was the first time I seen cars lined up on the side of the road to walk onto this land with stones on the top with people's names written in it. Like, I remember that from the kid. I remember when my Aunt Sandy died, I was spending a lot of time over there because that was a drop-off point for me going to one of my aunts and getting picked up by my mom. And she died, like, unexpectedly young with, like, breast cancer. Like, it happened fast, nobody knew. And she was, like, one of the younger aunts. So that was, like, disturbing, right? But, like, I remember going to her funeral because I had a relationship. You talk about being a kid and having a relationship. Let's say I was probably less than 10, but I was close with her, close enough to go to the service. Like, I would come home and go use the bathroom and turn to the tub, and the tub sat at the same height that I remember the casket sitting at. So I would, like, see her there, like, as a kid. Like, that's crazy. Like, for a long time, like, I would be, like, not wanting to face the tub because it's the same height that the caskets sit when they're in the middle of the church and all that. And I don't know what age I was when I finally got out of that. You know what I mean? So you don't even know, like, how them things really going to really affect your kids because they may not even talk to you about it. That's something I don't even talk to my mom about. Like, yo, like, after I went to Sandy funeral, I was seeing her over the bathtub. Like, I never told my mom and them that.
See, this be another thing, though, too. Like, Dre said this. Go back to the way that you was raised. You kind of revert this was what my mom did or my dad did. But you also now have the recollection of being that 6-year-old, that 7-year-old. That be the problem with your kids is they think that you came out in your 30s. They don't think that you were ever 6, 7, or 8. But you remember, like you saying, when I went to this funeral and now my aunt that I had this relationship with, and I remember what it was like when I was 6 and I was 8 and I was thinking this shit. So now when I put my son or my daughter in this spot, I need to talk to them because I know that when I was their age, I had some shit that I wanted to say, but I felt like wasn't nobody going to listen to that shit. Right. So now you got to go to the room and say, fuck, yo, is you cool? Let's talk about this. Like, what do you want to know? Because this is what, like I said, this is what I do with my daughter. Because I know, like, I always try to put myself in the shoes of whenever she asks us for shit, I'm not one of them parents who we just gonna give you everything you ask for. You got to hear no sometimes. It's not about the money. It's about you understanding that the world don't owe you shit. And if all you ever hear is yes, you'll never appreciate yes. So you got to get a couple of no's thrown in there. But you also got to remember what it was like to be 9, what it was like to be 6, what it was like to be 2. Well, not 2, because you know what I'm saying, a little far. That was just my youngest daughter's 2. You got to remember what it was like to be that kid and that this shit will be your whole fucking world. Like Dre was talking about these little drawings that his son made. This shit was his whole world for the day. He might not give a fuck about it in 2 days, but at this moment, this shit is everything. So you got to always be still able to put yourself in them shoes. So like, yeah, but when I do this shit and I take them here and I talk to them about this shit, I got to understand that we got to have a follow-up conversation. I got to understand that you feel like if you got something to say, like Dre said, man, my son felt like he could talk to me about it because he was protecting me. But that's why you got to have them difficult conversations.
What you saying is you opening the floor for the conversation to have multiple conversations. That's
absolutely. Because I don't want you to go out into the world. I don't want you to call my niece, is what I always say, just because she's the oldest. I don't want my daughter to have to call my niece and ask her these questions. Like, because now, like, God, what the hell is she going to tell her? You know what I'm saying? Or ask one of my little cousins, like, what the hell are they going to tell her? I want you to you gonna go ask them, talk to them, and all of that, because those are your elders, and you know what I'm saying, that's who you're around. But I want you to have some type of idea, some type of knowledge, some type of understanding of what the fuck is going on out here in the world.
Sure.
All right, now let's switch up the conversation. Talk a little bit about the guys and the merchandise that they have on. Lean a little bit into the camera, Dre. Let them see the hat, Dre. Lean a little bit in. There you go, Dre. Okay, product placement, baby. You know what I'm saying? More than a dad. Couple things that I'm gonna give y'all here. One, like I reiterated several times, we made this connection strictly off the strength of EJ. The picture that Dre posted, I said, damn, that picture looked familiar. I took that picture. You know what I'm saying? That was E birthday. E and my cousin, E and Roe. E and Roe birthdays is 3 days apart. So every year it's E and Roe birthdays together. It's still every year, it's like, damn, E ain't here. But it's still E and Roe birthdays right there. And so one, on the strength of you and E had a relationship. Two, it was funny because once I got that, Ricky sent me that episode and was like, yo, check this joint out. I was on this podcast. So that gave y'all already 2 strikes in your way. Now, something that y'all both said was, I lost my dad. That was a thing for me too. Lost my dad in 2009. So now when we get to the more than a dad situation, having already lost your dad, that makes being a dad even more of a thing for you. It gives you like that, I got to be super dad and I got to go a little bit harder and I got to do, you know what I'm saying? It puts a little bit of a battery in your back.
Absolutely.
And I completely understand that because I got that same thing. So now, talk to me about what is being a dad, Dre.
Being a dad is the coolest job in the world.
He started cheesing when you said that. You seen that, Lou? Excuse me, Lou Mo.
When he give you the generic answer and he got to think of it, that's what you get. You get Smiley Dre. If you watch our episodes, I say, how's dad life? He always
hold up now. Where exactly would you watch those episodes, Lou?
On YouTube, on the More Than a Dad Network on YouTube.
Copy that. We call that an expensive plug here on the How to Hustle podcast behind.
In the real world, it's not as fun as it looks. It's tough. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I feel like I've been a dad for a long time, yo. My oldest son is 13. He'll be 14 in a couple months. It's kind of all I know as an adult.
He about to start bringing chicks to the crib. You know that, right?
No, you're not. He just got suspended from school the first time, like last week, for getting into a fight. But he definitely not about to do that.
Oh, did he win?
Did he win?
He didn't even fight back. It actually was.
Oh, come on, nephew! What is that?
He punched on him. He got into an argument with a girl and she punched on him. He didn't hit her back though.
Shouts out to Brittany. I had somebody to handle those type of situations for me. Go ahead, though. My bad.
But yeah, like I was a dad before I was an adult. So all I know as an adult is to be a dad. So I probably pride myself in being that the most. Even before we was doing More Than a Dad, like if you went to like my Instagram, it probably was just pictures of me, maybe my friends, but mostly it was just pictures of my kids. Like, and that's what it always was. Like people just be like, yo, you just like a dad. I see you always just post your kids. You always got your kids with you. But that's because that's all I know. Like that's all I knew. Like as an adult, like what defined me as an adult was being a dad. So it was like a big part of my life.
Copy that. Lou?
No, I guess like to me being a dad is like, I always say like a person that handles their business. I think being a dad is like a hard job. Like I don't think it's easy. Sometimes it's hard to even enjoy the fun sometimes, you know what I mean? Because it's like you wear the stress of the family, you're normally the leader of the family, and like things kind of go as you go. So it's to me a lot of pressure. Like I guess being a former athlete, I deal with pressure well. Leadership is natural, but it's hard. It's stressful, man. And unlike Dre, like I got a chance to be a young adult. I went to college. I did the job market and got better jobs and was working my way up. Being a dad gave me a lot more and more purpose. It kind of like gave me another why. I was doing a lot of things off the strength to like make my family proud and stuff like that. And when that was, kind of not being enough to like motivate me, I created a family, and that gave me another spark to take my grind to another level. You know what I mean? So
I completely agree with Lou. This shit is definitely hard. It's definitely not easy. But like Dre said, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I look at it like I said before, you signed up for that. That was the fine print at the bottom of the contract that you didn't read. Is you signed up for the headaches, like you said, you got the stress of the family, you got to carry all of that. You got to be able to be strong, you got to be able to be weak, you got to be able to be every fucking thing. Same. That's not saying any of this to demean anybody's moms, but as the dad, you got to be able to take on all of that. As a mom, you got to be able to take those things on too. But we talking about the dads right now, so ladies, don't, you know what I'm saying, be offended. My kids is like my everything. Why I got 50,000 things going on is because I want to make sure that they are fine. I don't want to make sure that they are spoiled. I don't want to make sure that they get handed something, because ultimately, if you want to fuck with me, you got to work for it. So like, if we got I got one joint where I'm cutting the grass and my daughter goes with me to this joint just so she can get a little bit of this experience. Get out here, you want some money? Come on, come earn it. Because I ain't giving it to you. Like, nobody's giving me shit, so I can't give you shit. The world ain't gonna give you nothing. You gonna get out these doors and they gonna say, fuck you. And you gotta be able to say, fuck you too, because I'ma still be able to handle it. Because you've been equipped with the knowledge and the skills to be able to do that. But being a dad is like everything. Like, having somebody that's like, they look up to you for everything, and like, you got to be their superhero. That shit gives you all the motivation and push that you want. That's why I don't understand when a motherfucker don't do shit for their kids. It's like, how did you look at them and say like, fuck them, just because you don't like their mom? They ain't got shit to do with their mom. It's about them. And I feel like I always tell people this. Like, my niece was like on the job training for me, just being an uncle. My niece was born when I was 17, so it was like, shit, baby sneeze, because I'm the youngest. So like,
Right.
like they sneeze. Like, she's shitting. Who's wiping that up? Like, all that type of, like, yo, you can't have the soda just sitting here because she's gonna pick it up. Yo, you gotta have them sockets covered. You like, I got all of that type of shit when I was young because my niece was there. And
Right.
it made you start to look at things differently as far as, well, if she's going to be here, I can't have this sitting here. I can't be doing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It makes you look at things differently. So that once I got to my own kids, and it was just like, all right, well, you already know how to handle that situation. You already know how to deal with this, that, or whatever. So I feel like that shit was everything. And I feel like that shit completely changed your perspective on life, because now you realize the shit ain't all about you. It's about these little motherfuckers too. And the shit that you doing is like, man, if we both hanging off a cliff, I'm dead because I'm pushing you to fuck up. If I can make it, I can make it, but you damn sure making it. Like,
Right.
and you didn't have none of, yeah, and you ain't have none of that in your life when you was 21 and, you know, drunk at the joint.
Listen, I ain't have none of that, man. My shit was like, man, we just gonna wing it. Like, I ain't
Oh
have,
no, I mean, we definitely all are winging it to a certain extent. When you got that first baby, I did that episode. Shouts out to my guys from It's Better This Way. Need y'all still back out there. You know what I'm saying? TJ and EJ. But we did that episode about after you had the first baby, like, what is the male perspective? Because people always talk about the woman's postpartum, but they never talk about the shit that we go through. It's like, we going through mental gymnastics just like you is. It's a different level, it's a different situation, but we sitting there going, oh shit, we got a little person. Like, I'm trying to hold your head like this because I don't want to drop you. I'm thinking, oh my God, you got the soft spot. Yeah, we're bitching too. We all winging it. No matter how many other kids you watched had or none of that, them motherfuckers went home at some point. This little nigga ain't going nowhere. Like,
you know, our priority, to me, I think the difference with men and women with that little piece about the newborn stuff is like, our priorities as men are different. Like a woman might stay in feelings and depression and physical, and ours be like, oh man, this pack of diapers cost $60 for 140 of them.
That's why I said it's
you know, our process is different.
It's stresses, but they're just different stresses. Copy.
Yeah, it's definitely different to me. I think we're more cut and dry. Our priorities is making sure y'all are good. And I think some of us lack on the emotional side. And I think that's why women, you know, have to express that a lot for men to get it. Like, yo, she needs you emotionally, even though you over here trying to cover like expenses.
It's also one of them things where being physically present but not emotionally present. Physically, you could be here. This was one thing my wife told me is like, yo, you always be on the phone. So like, the way that I'm looking at it is, but you always got to evaluate and assess the things that people give you. The way I'm looking at it is me being on the phone is, yeah, but I'm trying to get these jackets moved, or somebody's asking me about a jersey, or we lining up an episode. I'm working while I'm on this phone. But it's also, you can't be sitting here when we supposed to be watching a movie or whatever it is, and you've been on the phone for the last 2 hours. You physically here, but you're not emotionally here. Like, you're not present. We can't hold a conversation with you. We can't ask you about nothing because you're not really here.
I get the same. I get the same at home, bro. I be trying to do little stuff like put the phone down, bro. Like try to like being an absent dad and being present is the craziest dynamic. Like that's being absent.
That's really a thing, though, bro. That's not like fake. It ain't made up. There's a lot of people that be in the crib and don't really help with the day to day. You just kind of just here. You floating. You don't really knowing. You really don't be doing.
As long as you don't ask me to wash no dishes and no clothes, we good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm definitely not. I'm not. I will supply you with all the detergent and joy that you need, but I'm definitely not handling nobody's drawers. And I'm definitely not washing nobody's dishes. Shouts out to having a dishwasher until I was 25.
But will you load the dishwasher? Because I load the dishwasher too.
We ain't had no dishwasher at the other crib. Is what even what? No, huh? I'm washing them. It was my house before we was even like married. She ain't even live with me. It's my crib. If she ain't been over here in 3 days, nigga, them dishes is in that sink. Okay, ain't got no company. I'm drinking straight out the bottle, so I don't need no cups. And I will use paper plates, but I'm not washing this shit. I'm just letting you know now. If I use a pan, if I fried something or something, I clean that. Other than that, I'm not the guy. Before we wrap up, though, episode 93 of the How to Hustle podcast, make sure y'all hit the link in the bio. The tickets for the How to Hustle live show will be on sale right now. The tickets are on sale right now. Hit that QR code or just hit the link in my bio. Purchase those tickets. March the 12th, 7 o'clock at the barn on 4901 Baltimore Ave. Catherine Street, or however you want to, you know what I'm saying? If you're from here, then you understand the situation. Even if you're not from here, we appreciate the love, you know what I'm saying? Hit those tickets out of town and all that. We accept those donations. But shouts out to my guys from More Than the Dad podcast. I appreciate y'all here coming on. That was episode 93. We are out. This is not the original joint. There we go. We out now. I don't think we're out. We're still recording. We're still not out recording.